We are live. Welcome to the special segment between the 94, Jesus Christ, math
94,
left the
91st,
chat,
let's say.
uh, 94 by 50 podcast featuring the First Attempt podcast. I'm your host, Ilya Kurbanov, and my co-host today is Brandon Graham. You
What's
guys
going on,
all
man?
know him by now. It's not the first time we have him on here. And
Mm-hmm.
it's not going to be the last time that we will be
No.
sitting down and talking a lot of
Mm-hmm.
different opinions and a lot of sensitive, perhaps, subjects related to sports, specifically NBA or NFL, and whatever is happening in current world politics aside, obviously.
Absolutely,
But
man.
that's not what we're
Mm-hmm.
here for. Obviously, we haven't come up with the name. That's why it's called the special segment for today. We have some time to
It's
think
all good.
about it. We'll figure something
Yeah.
out. You know what I mean? But how
You'll
you
see
doing
how you got
besides
this.
how you doing besides your leg, man? How's everything?
Hey, listen, man. I other than my leg, I just tore my Achilles, but I'll be back just like Kobe. Other than that,
Dang.
though, no, my spirits are high. Spirits are high. Spirits are good. It's a really fresh injury, but other than that, man, I mean, good. Just taking it day by day, of course, right now. And how are you, man? How are you? What's going
Hey
on with you?
man, I'm great. I'm in Montreal. I've been in Montreal for like 3 weeks already.
Oh yeah, bonjour.
And I'm going. Yeah, bonjour. And I'm staying here till about June. I haven't booked my return flight yet, but I do want to spend my summer in Halifax. So
Right.
want to enjoy it, get some fresh ocean breeze,
Mm-hmm.
get
I
get
gotta get
get
out
get
there.
some get some swimming in on the
Yeah.
hot days. Whenever the heat wave actually hits. But
Yeah,
yo,
man. Hey.
NBA playoffs. This is so exciting,
Mm-hmm.
man. Like so many things going on. Let's dive right into it, I think.
You know what? I'll even start by saying this. Like, okay, listen, I'm in the GTA Toronto side, so I get to see. We grew up with the Raptors. Even worked a little bit with Sportsnet 590, so getting to go to the Raptors games or reporting them. Toronto Raptors are a resilient bunch, man. I know you don't respect them because you're a Portland
Hey,
Trailblazers
it's not
fan.
that I don't
But
I obviously respect every team. I respect the
right, right.
opponents, but if I'm not the fan of the team, doesn't mean I disrespect them. Come on, Brandon.
All
Don't
right, all
don't,
right,
don't do me
okay.
like that.
Oh, okay, okay. I just want to put it out there, okay? But hey, the Toronto
Yeah.
Raptors were down 3-0 in games where it was a toss up, right? Games that they should have probably won, which is game 3 they should have won. Game 2 they had a chance to win as well too. But now in game 4 and 5 they had a chance. They came back. Tomorrow you get a chance to see them play in the Scotiabank Arena at home, so that's going to be tough. And then of course then you have to go back to um, go back to Philadelphia to see exactly who's going to close out in game 7 if it were to get to that point. But James Harden and Embiid, the Raptors are probably the best matchup for them when it comes to defensive wise because Nick Nurse throws in a different coverages all the time. He looks at the game as though he's a defensive coordinator, right? You can see he puts guys in box and one. He does different things. He does a great job. I don't know. Do you have an assessment about the Raptors at all?
The Raptors are doing extremely well right now, especially with guys like coming in and flying high. Pascal Siakam is playing like all NBA player.
All NBA,
You know what
absolutely.
I mean? Gary Trent
Mm-hmm.
coming in, knocking down threes, getting defensive stops. Scotty Barnes, congrats on the Rookie of the Year award. Obviously, this is a huge one,
Here.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And the competition of the rookies was pretty high this year. Like with
Right.
Evan Mobley, then Kate Cunningham, then
Mm-hmm.
Franz Wagner was hanging around for a little bit.
Green.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? There's so many guys that you can go off of, but that, like you said, the resiliency of that Raptors squad is legit. That team is legit. It's been legit from the beginning of the year. I don't think there were any doubts behind it, especially with Fred VanVleet getting that
Mm-hmm.
All Star nomination and playing in the All Star game is massive for the
Right.
city of Toronto as a whole as well. So
Oh, of course.
seeing them coming back to 3-2 now
Right.
and
Right.
with a chance to tie the series
At home.
at home, exactly. And you know how packed it gets in Toronto for the home games in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't be surprised if they'll have watching parties all over the country for that one game. It's not a
Of course.
championship game, it's not the NBA finals, but it's huge.
Right.
And with the reputation that the Doc Rivers had not closing out the elimination games,
Mm-hmm.
I'm scared for the 76ers. Like they are good. They have a lot of talent. They have a lot of great players with, obviously
Maxi.
James Harden and Embiid is just you can just toss it out of the conversation. You know they're gonna do something, but then Tyrese Maxey, Harris,
Mm-hmm.
perhaps Matisse comes in and does something special. Hopefully, play
Not
some
next
minutes.
game. Not
Oh,
next game because he's unvaccinated, right? He has one vaccine, so he can't cross
oh,
the
that's
border.
true. He
So that
cannot play in
that
Toronto.
exactly,
Canadian
exactly. So you
rules.
have
Look at
Danny Green.
that. Look at that.
There
But
you go. There you go, Justin
either
Trudeau.
way, and but here's the thing: Danny Green could be at a huge advantage. That's not the first time he
Hmm.
plays in Toronto, so.
Listen,
But
listen. Wh-
it's gonna be a good one. It's gonna be a good one. That's all
Yeah.
I can say. But
What I would say is, well, I want to just point in Fred VanVleet now having a hip flexor injury or hip injury and not being able to be mobile and probably not going to play in game six. In game six, I think it favors the Raptors. Now that they've gone small, he couldn't stay in front of Maxi. He couldn't really contain him at all. I think the lineup that they have that they won in game four and game five, that's what they got to keep. They got to keep 6'9", 6'8" guys that can stretch the floor, run in transition, grab offensive rebounds, grab defensive rebounds. I think probably should just stay out this entire series and wait to come back. But that's just my take with it. But I know you want to talk about other things too, because
hey,
there's a lot more
let's
things to get
let's
into.
roll it, man. Let's keep it rolling.
Yeah.
Let's keep it rolling. But now, let's shift gears from one Eastern Conference series to another Eastern Conference series, and
Yeah.
you know exactly which one I want to talk about.
There it
And
is.
I think a
Spicy.
lot of other people know what we're gonna talk about. But I don't know what happened to them Nets, man.
the
The
elephant,
Nets
the
got
elephant in the
cut.
room, man.
The Nets
Hey,
got
the
cut. The
elephant
Nets
in the room.
got
And
cut.
listen,
Oh
listen.
man.
It's where do you even start, right? You got to start from the start of the year. Okay, Kyrie Irving refuses to get the vaccine. Right, good for him. He stated his morals. He did his thing. Respect to him for doing that. But that falters in the team now. He doesn't play. James Harden and Kevin Durant are not necessarily working the best together. James Harden gets shipped away to Philadelphia. He wasn't, two times, right? Three guys. Those three guys have all been on teams in the past 3 to 5 years where they've not been happy with the situation and they've fled ship. They jumped ship. And that's probably what's gonna happen again. Okay. Now you have James Harden going to Philadelphia, Ben Simmons going over to the Brooklyn Nets. Got Ben Simmons, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Durant. Three guys that technically didn't like their situations. Now they're in this team. It never worked. Jason Tatum has emerged. Jaylen Brown has emerged. These guys are coming to their own at 24 years old, 25, super young, still developing. And the better team won the series, point blank. But now Kevin Durant's getting all the blame. And I don't think all the blame should be put on Kevin Durant. It should be put on the situation. Steve Nash couldn't draw up good plays down the stretch. Kyrie Irving didn't play throughout the year to get out of that spot, to not play the Boston Celtics in the first round. There's so many mitigating factors that you can attribute this to.
Absolutely. And
And
like you said, blaming KD is probably the worst case scenario in this whole Nets situation. I like the fact that you mentioned that just because oftentimes we give the slack to the best player on the floor, which is related. It's something that is
it's relative.
expected
Yeah.
from the media, is expected from the peers, and it's expected from the fan bases and everybody else, right, that's out there watching those games. And but those who truly watch will see that KD was given a tough time in every
Yes.
single game. They
Yeah.
sent bodies at him the first two games, not
Mm-hmm.
allowing him getting into the rhythm, not allowing him to get open shots. Every shot was contested, forcing him going to the mid-range jumper where they'll send Al Horford and Jaylen Brown at the same time. And by the time he's in
Gremlins.
the air, you cannot really pass the ball. And who are you passing
Right.
the ball to? You don't have Joe Harris who can knock down open trays. He's injured, sitting on the
Yep.
bench. And then Kyrie, he's guarded by the Defensive Player of the Year, Marcus Smart himself.
Mm-hmm.
By the
Yep.
way, shout out to another guard who actually won the Defensive Player of the Year award. I actually love it. The
Mm-hmm.
glove.
Mm-hmm.
Now Marcus Smart in the books. Let's get it. Let's
Yep.
keep it going. I love the fact that bigs obviously get all that love, blocks, and protecting the paint, but guards do a lot of stuff too.
but the best players in the league are the guards, and the
Hey,
guards are the toughest to guard. So
exactly.
when a
So there
guard
we
gets
go.
when Rudy Gobert gets it or Draymond Green, yeah, fair. But give it to a guard like Marcus Smart. He's guarding the best player on a 99 basis, fastest guy on the team, night in, night out.
That's true. But the
Right?
thing is with
Yeah.
Rudy Gobert, I'll give him the credit just because he affected the defense of the entire Utah Jazz team by making everyone's rotations so much easier because they
Yeah.
knew worst comes to worst, we'll have Rudy who will come in and block the shot or contest and make it tougher. But going back to the Brooklyn Nets.
Yes. Going back to the
You know what
Brooklyn
I
Nets.
mean? You know what I mean?
Hey,
Going back to
listen.
the Brooklyn
The,
Nets,
the
there's so many things we
the
can say,
yeah.
but my biggest concern is why is Ben Simmons not playing? Like what?
First of
Like
all,
is my pinky toe is hurting? I'm not gonna play tonight. What's going on with
yeah.
this? I
Hey,
and I
listen.
and
This
you
is
know as much as personal we can get, as people who really watch the game and pay attention to the little things. Oh, the sunset is serious.
yes. I was about to say,
Um,
is this a sandals in your case?
hey, I don't know. Somebody's about to snap the fingers. But yeah, Ben Simmons not
Wow.
playing. This is I don't know. I don't understand. And considering that he was all defensive team a couple of years ago, and obviously gets shipped from Philly because he was thrown under the bus and whatever. He's not happy with the situation, and all of a sudden you get into a better situation, but then yet you're still kind of acting in an immature way and not showing up when the team needs you.
Yeah, that's
Although
first of
we
all,
might
Kevin.
not have all the answers, but from what we have.
That's yeah. From what we have, like the way he once again he got a lot of blame in Philadelphia when they lost to the Atlanta Hawks last year. I believe it was the quarterfinals, sorry, semifinals to get to the Eastern Conference Finals because he couldn't shoot. So deservedly so. And Philly is a place we all know this. Philly fans are blue collar. They call you out when you're playing bad. They praise you when they're playing good, and a lot of guys love that. Some guys don't like that at all. So he got a lot of blame, a lot of hate, a lot of roasting on all fronts. He was scared to shoot the ball. You remember the shot of
The
him? I think it was
layup,
underneath
dude,
the
the
basket.
layup, the
The
dunk.
layup.
Oh
He
my
was
goodness.
literally and watching that game. We're like, whoa, Ben Simmons is like such a great facilitator, great in transition, great rebounder, great defender, but can't shoot the ball, cannot generate his own shot, unfortunately. And he's been able to do it. Like this is for 4 or 5 years now. So we can go on and on about that situation. I've gone on about it in other podcasts. You can listen to Six Man, you can listen to First and 10. In Brooklyn now, it doesn't make any sense because he was rumored to come back in game 4, a game you need to win, a game at least get out there,
Exactly.
play 10,
Exactly.
50 minutes, get yourself more, make yourself another threat. You being 6'10, 6'9, it's already a threat as it is, and you can run the floor. You're already a threat with your body alone, just being available. And the best, you know, they say the best attribute about a player is availability. Availability is the best. I can't remember what the quote is called, but yeah, that's when it comes down to um, him not being in the lineup and him saying that he apparently told coaches and then the entire Nets organization is really mad at him about this, even the players, that the mental block from him coming back has
I saw that
triggered a
too.
back injury.
His
That's a
back, yeah,
real
his back hurting. Like how? Like how?
eh,
Like I know it's all
okay.
like nervous system, but like come on, like
It is a nervous system thing.
I'm not
Teaching,
a
yes,
like I'm not a athletic trainer or a
right.
physiotherapist, but come on.
It's to be honest with you, like teaching healthcare and then doing a lot of studies about the nervous system. That is, it could be a case. It could be something,
It could be a
but
case. Yeah, you're right.
a lot of everyone from Reggie Miller to Shaq and all these guys being like, yo, this guy's a lack of a better term, he's a punk, he's a pum pum, right? He's really soft, right? And but you have to understand he hasn't played in a long time. He got out of the situation. He was blamed for something that he should have been blamed for because you're the guy, you're a number one pick. You have to be accountable. You have thick skin. But him not playing and him saying it's trigger, like I know a lot of people are saying, and coming from myself as an educator too, you have to factor in mental health 100%. But he's had therapists, he's had all these things. He's showing up to the. If he didn't show up to the games in Lamb and all these major
It's a
fits,
different conversation.
it's a
Absolutely.
different
I agree.
conversation.
I agree.
That means you're
It's a
actually
different
prioritizing.
conversation.
Like you're on the sideline, you're hyping up your guys. You got the Cuban links on you. You're down there. You're flexing, but
You're
you're not
having
playing. So
fun and
why
watching
why do
games for yeah.
why would you it just everything with him is an anomaly. I don't know if it's an Australian thing. I don't want to say that. But there's
The
something going on
land down
mentally.
under.
Yeah. Yeah, but he has to play next year. He really finessed. And a lot of people are saying that Kyrie Irving was the most selfish guy they've seen with the vaccine stuff. Ben Simmons is worse.
I mean,
Ben Simmons is worse.
Kyrie Irving made a personal decision that probably 50% of like I wouldn't say 50%, that's probably a stretch, but 20% of the world's population made the same decision where they decided we're not going to get vaccinated and we'll live our life the way we live right now. So
Yeah.
blaming Kyrie Irving for not getting vaccinated because that was just his personal choice is kind of out of the bloom. It has to fly out the door, not come back,
Right.
and shouldn't be even a case of a discussion, because at
Yeah.
the end of the
Yeah.
day, for someone who is not vaccinated, obviously everyone knew the mandates were bound to change at one point in time. And when that happened, Kyrie Irving comes back and automatically snaps in the first game. You
Yep.
cannot
Automatically
tell me,
snaps.
like, for someone who hasn't really seen a competition besides practicing with the guys,
Special
and
talent.
at the same time, I don't even know if he was he even allowed to practice, considering that every single practice was happening in Brooklyn, which
He
in
must have
that
his own
case,
gym.
yeah, definitely. He definitely worked out somewhere where he could do it by himself. And obviously, he knows a bunch of trainers, including Michael Lancaster, who's like the guy who actually trained him
Drew,
from when he was at Duke,
high school.
right?
Right.
So
High school.
it's exactly so. Like looking at that situation, it's irrelevant at that point. So I don't, when media tries to bring that up again, it's like it's almost like bringing hate against a player who actually came in and did something, at
So
least
that's
tried and showed up to win those games, even
mhm.
though he wasn't there for the majority of the season. But at the end of the day, when the opportunity presented, when he was cleared to play based on the vaccine mandates, he still showed up and did his thing and helped that Brooklyn Nets team still remain as somewhat of a unit in order to
Yeah.
compete and try to do something in the playoffs. And obviously that
And
unfolded
I've heard this from
not in a way that they wanted. So
absolutely. And I've heard this from NBA players saying like you go online, you see stuff after a bad game, like you understand why people off themselves or people hurt themselves or get into these mental blocks, whatever. But look at Scotty Barnes. Scotty Barnes get hurt, and once again, I can't even equate it to Scotty Barnes because he actually played throughout the season. Ben Simmons did not. But Scotty Barnes gets injured in game one of the first series against the Philadelphia 76ers. Comes back in two games and actually, doesn't really care about his shots, but still gets up. But because he cares about the team, put the team first. You love that from young guys. But guys like Ben Simmons, who actually got in their second contract, you've just shown that you don't care about the team. And you realize what kind of threat you would give the Boston Celtics? Because the Celtics literally because no Joe Harris is out there. And Joe Harris is actually a factor. Don't get me wrong.
massive,
Right?
huge.
Yeah, and it's
One of the
Seth
best
Curry's
shooters
right
in the
there.
league, and that's not
Absolutely.
even a conversation, And when you have someone who can be there on a nightly basis, knocking down open shots whenever the team needs you to knock down shots, he is that guy, and he
Yeah.
is a presence, a physical presence. He is not a small. He's not a small guard. He's a four.
6'6".
He's a 6'8", 6'6", 6'8", like around there as a forward. Maybe not as quick laterally as many players out there in the league, but still, he can be that presence.
He can keep his own. Yeah, he can hold his own. But just having him out there, Ben Simmons, you force Jason Tatum to now not pick up KD. You force, Kevin. Oh my gosh, Kyrie Irving to be picked up by someone else. You just give it a different dynamic because they have all the guards to contain a KD. KD couldn't get a shot off in game 4 or game 3. Sorry, he couldn't do anything. So just having Ben Simmons out there, it just showed you that everyone is frustrated with him. He's not there mentally. He's not a guy you can really count on. And I don't know which team would want to pick him up now unless they're the Sacramento Kings and don't care about anything else. So it's definitely a mental thing. I know a lot of people are going to be like, hey, no one understands the mental that you go through because we're not in a position. We're not superstar guys that get millions of dollars that are getting talked about on a daily basis. He can talk about daily basis, but he's not making it better for himself. He's just making it worse and worse and worse and worse. So that's the case, and we'll see what happens next year.
Hey, definitely, and it's gonna be a story to tell. Once again,
Absolutely.
another chapter will open for Ben Simmons. Where it's gonna be,
yes, another step.
outside of our
Who
control.
knows?
But let's shift
Australia.
let's shift towards now Western
Yes.
Conference, and it's not going to be really playoff talk. It's more of a war talk. Right?
Okay.
And
But
before I know where you're trying to. I know where you're going. I know where you're going. I know where you're going. I know exactly what you're about to mention. You're about to mention the fact that Jordan Poole plays for Michigan. played for
Yeah,
Michigan.
I
I do
yes,
not
yes.
care. I'm gonna turn
And
all the bias aside though. All
And
bias
you mentioned
aside.
Franz, and you mentioned Franz
No,
Wagner. So I know
no, but he
you
was no,
always
but
keep
he
it.
no, but he was in a
He was balling.
conversation for like
Yeah,
he's definitely gonna
for
be
rookie.
all
Yeah,
rookie team. Probably the
yeah,
all like first all rookie team. Like
yeah, for
I'm
sure.
gonna leave it there. But
Yeah,
Jordan Poole aside, if you ask me, and if you had to put a most improved player of the year award onto someone, it would not be John Morant. I love John Morant. I love his play. I love his hustle. I love everything about his athleticism, the way he leads the guys, the way he helped that team develop
yeah,
into becoming a contender. We're not talking about a playoff run. We're talking about a team that can actually have a shot at going to the Western Conference Finals and give troubles to whoever is in there, right?
well,
And
okay, yeah,
for someone who was injured for like 2 months in the season, missed about, I would say, 10 to 15 games just because of that. For someone who has been in a conversation for the MVP,
hmm
is solid. But if you ask me a most improved player, I would not give it to him. Just based on
no
the fact
chance.
that no chance. He deserves to be in a conversation. He deserves to be in that top 5 conversation for the MVP with
hmm
all respect. But I think the true MIP had to go to Jordan Poole. And here's why. Oh, no, here's why. Like, hear
Yeah,
me out
go
on
ahead,
this. Hear
go
me
ahead.
out on this. Hear
Yeah,
me out
yeah,
on this.
yeah,
Steph was out for 2 months before the playoffs started.
yeah. All right. Clay was out as well too.
Clay was out. Who was the number one option? Jordan Poole made strides from the
He
very
emerged.
beginning of the season. He emerged as the like top 2 option on a team the whole season because when Clay was out for the first
You got
four or
Andrew
five
Wiggins though.
months, yeah, I agree. Yeah, but still, for someone who has been in a position coming out from G League, now you're emerging as one of the bench players, and all of a sudden you become a starter and you continue overachieving. Because if you came into the season and said, "Oh yeah, Jordan Poole is going to come in and do craziness," people would laugh at you, and that's a
Right.
fact. You
That's a
know?
fact. I would laugh. Yeah, but I'm a big
Yeah,
Jordan Poole guy
exactly.
ever since.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
like I said, all Michigan bias aside, like I don't care. Like even if you
Right.
would have played for my team, the team that I hate the most, like I wouldn't care. I would have the
What team
same
is that?
opinion about it. I don't know. I actually don't know. I don't hate a lot of teams. I really don't.
Okay.
I only hate the teams
Right,
that
right,
like
right, right.
have the most annoying fan bases. Like you know what I mean? Like
Right. Dallas Cowboys.
Kentucky's or
Yeah.
stuff like you know what I mean?
Right.
Like and I don't even
Yeah.
hate Kentucky. Like Kentucky is
Right.
good, but
Right.
Coach Calipari might be looking for another job. So maybe a subject for another time.
Yeah. Let me
But
try
either
it.
way, like
Yeah.
honestly, and the fact that the way John Morant really treated that award, he just immediately gave it up to Desmond Bain. I'm like, come on now.
Yeah. That was a little bit like, but Desmond Bane's
That's a
there. Don't
little.
get me wrong. Desmond Bane. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
a
he
little
he
bit.
was
But
solid. He was solid, but you
that's
know
a
what I
team.
mean, though.
That's a teammate thing. That's a teammate
You
thing.
know,
You
yeah,
got to be like, okay, this is where it starts. John Morant was drafted number 2 last year, right? Or 2 years ago.
two
Okay.
years ago.
Great. This is what he's expected to do. Okay. The Grizzlies were 20-5 without him. The Grizzlies were 20-5 without him. Think about it. So you got to give him. You got to give a lot of respect to Jaren Jackson. You got to give a lot of respect to Desmond Bain, but they're 20-5 without him. Okay. Yeah, he went from averaging I think it was 19 to 27, 4 more rebounds. Great. He's definitely lifted his game. He's improved his 3-point shooting. He's improved his efficiency from the mid range as well too. Granted, that's an MVP, right? He was supposed to. This is what he's supposed to do. But if you look at a guy like Darius Garland, okay, Darius Garland coming out of
Amazing.
Washington State,
Another candidate. Oh
you
my
watching,
goodness.
yeah, yeah,
Jeez.
another guy, right? Another guy that came in was not high, like he's highly touted in high school. Like he was great in high school out of the Washington State, area near Nathan Hale, where Michael Porter Jr. is from as well too. So
Went to
he goes in
Vanderbilt. Had an amazing
Vanderbilt,
season.
but play great season, comes in. No one expected Darius Garland to do what he's doing, but he is absolutely not. I saw him in person too. He's disgusting. So he's a really good player. He elevated this game. He was one of the reasons why the Cavs were top 4, top 5 in the East for the majority of the season. Him and Evan Mobley, they took over. So he's one guy. You got to put Desmond Bain there. You got to put Jordan Poole. and this is one thing I'm going to give Jordan Poole because I love this game ever since he was in high school. Even going to Michigan, he's a great shooter. That team is probably my favorite Michigan team of all time, right? Well, one of them right there that went to the finals there against Villanova, unfortunately. He was not. He was in the G League, right? There was Gary Payton and him in the G League. They came in. He was drafted. He was drafted obviously 28th in the first round. He was expected to be good, but not this good. And to be honest with you, I think right now, Draymond Green, Steph Curry, and Klay Thompson, they trust him. They've kind of given him the keys. They've given him the green light to
They
be. And this
gave
is
him the
something that
green
Kendrick
light. Yeah,
they
absolutely.
gave him the green light and kind of be like, hey, like, you're going to be the one that's going to be leading us later on. Right now, you're going to be like, you're going to take whatever kind of shot you want. But the Warriors have the best mix of developing players and established players in the league, bar none. You got Jonathan Kuminga, Jordan Poole, Andrew Wiggins is still young. Wiseman is to come back and play really well next year. Steph, Draymond, Clay, they have the best nucleus in the entire NBA.
And they
But
have a great record developing players as well, like you
and
said, right? So
exactly, they just done a great job through the draft. And Jordan Poole, yes, he would be my top two, but I think I would give it to Garland, honestly. And Desmond Bane's played really well because Desmond Bane coming out of TCU, he wasn't really highly touted. He's played out off the charts as well too. And I get John Morant what he's doing and he gave him the MIP. It just means like it's just a teammate thing. Like, yo, you turned up this year. I can trust you off the ball. And he's going off in the playoffs right now. He's having a great playoff run right now. So all those guys are worthy, but I think the biggest thing is we have to have a conversation about what the MIP stands for. Like, what does it mean? If we're just going to give it to a guy that's drafted number 2 and increase their points per game by 10, then that should just be a most improved top 10 player. Like, make it different, make it a different award. Give it to a guy that
absolutely.
actually we did not expect this from, right? So I don't know who they're voting for. I just think it's more so the conversation around the award has to change because that's not the most improved player.
And like Draymond Green said too, like when he was talking about who in his books was the most improved player, he said if it's not Jordan Poole, they should change the name of the award. They should change
Yeah,
the award like you're saying right now. And it all makes sense, right? Like you said, there's a lot of other players that were more worthy of that award than John Morant was. And rightfully, John Morant did an amazing job, like you said, going up to 27 points per game, being one of the best point, like if arguably the best point guard this year, you know what I mean, in the league. And that all makes sense, voting for him. But at the end of the day, when you look at every single thing as we talk in a team factor, you know, we have to account every single aspect of that whole conversation. We cannot just account for, oh yeah, he's snapped and that's it. Who it's like
yeah,
it's like the most valuable player award. The award itself changed so much is that it's not the same anymore. It's not even goes to the most valuable player. It goes more of
yeah.
someone who had great stats and led the team to somewhat high seed in the playoffs, right?
Yeah, so 100,
So
percent and it's got to the MIP to me. It's got to go to a guy that you wouldn't expect to win the MVP ever. Everyone expects John Morant to get an MVP at some point. It shouldn't go to him. So really, I'm gonna look down all the past 5 uh, MIPs. Okay, Victor Oladipo got it in 2017. Pascal Siakam deserved it that year. Okay, he deserved it in
he did
2018,
in
2019.
2018. He did.
He
Yep, I agree.
no, he came 27th in the first round, right? But he came out of New Mexico State. He literally this is his 10th year playing basketball, so he's improved drastically, and that makes sense. Bi Brandon Ingram, he deserved that in New Orleans. Julius Randle, and then now Jam Rat. This pick was abomination. I think the NBA's got to look at that and change course because we know basketball, and everyone knows it's not the most improved player. Everyone
He
knows that.
no,
So,
he's just a stud. He's a hooper, and
yeah,
a hooper is a
he's a
hooper, and
star.
in
He's a
every
star.
yeah. So he's on a way to a different level of stardom. It's out of the bloom. It's out of the
I
conversation.
I honestly think that MIP should go to a guy that's not an All Star. That was not an All Star that year because even Darius Garland was an All Star this past year. I think it should go to a guy that wasn't an All Star. Like make that distinction. Give it to a guy that probably would never win it a most valuable player. Like Jordan Poole one day might win it. Who knows how he plays? But give it to a guy that's emerging. Like Pascal Siakam was the last one that actually made sense to me. But I digress.
Hey,
That's what
it
it
is what
is.
it is. It
Yeah,
is
man.
what it is. It is what it is.
Wanted to ask you, what do you think is the most exciting series right now in the playoffs for you to
Man,
watch?
honestly, uh, this is. I would actually no. I'm gonna have to say Phoenix, New Orleans. Give me that any day of the week. I
Really?
like,
Wow.
yeah, I like the fact that
Alvarado.
Toronto Raptors are actually like fighting and like bringing the series back, and I'll have an opportunity to tie it up, and then we don't know what's gonna happen next. But the Pelicans are battling, and you'll
Yes.
love to
Yes.
see it. Like Brandon Ingram had amazing games.
Hmm.
I'll rather get some CP3's head. How many players do you know in the league that could just randomly get into CP3's face and be like, "Yeah, I'm in there. You know I'm in there." And
Not too many
it's
guys.
impossible. It's
Right.
impossible.
He's
And
unflappable.
he got teed up 2 games back to back. He received
Right for
technical
that stuff.
fouls in back to back games, and that normally never happens. And
Right.
the fact that
Right.
we have different players like star quality players like in Brandon Ingram, Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, then um, obviously Zion is not playing. Jesus Christ. It would have
Yeah.
been a different series if he actually played. You know what I
It
mean?
would have been
CJ
different. Yeah.
McCollum now, leave like getting traded from Portland and being on that team and being a huge factor, being that leader, the
Hmm.
veteran who's been in the league for quite some time now. They're hooping and they're
They
getting
gotta.
things
They gotta
done
push it.
against that great defensive minded team in Phoenix. Michael Bridges obviously was nominated for the defensive player of the year as well. So there's a lot of players that kind of match up well together, and that's what excites me. Like I like seeing like an even battle in a way, if you know what I mean.
Well, if you're saying even better, and by the way, I think the Pelicans should just drop Zion Williamson, just build around Brandon Ingram, man. Brandon Ingram's going to be great. I think
He's
Bi
a
is
he
unreal.
is he's
I think
so
he's
good. He
yeah,
was good at Duke. He
yeah.
was okay
Good at
with the
the Lakers.
Lakers and
Okay, at
obviously
Lakers.
got traded, but everybody gets traded when you play for LeBron. Let's
Yeah,
put it
exactly.
that way.
What are they doing?
With
Making him a beast, man.
yeah, because look at everyone. Look at everyone who actually got traded that year. Lonzo Ball had an amazing year up until he got hurt. Then Julius Randle got the most improved player of the year award last year. Kind of was in the shadows this year a little bit because New York Knicks wasn't as good as they were last year. But then, those guys were all the Lakers core that got drafted and all of a sudden got moved. So
They're doing well. They're all doing well. I'm
everybody,
gonna
yeah,
say
everybody just fits the system where they are at right now, and it's amazing to see because their skill
I,
matches that system, and they killing it. They're killing it.
yeah, a difference between 12 points in the last 4 games, the Minnesota Timberwolves versus the Memphis Grizzlies. That
Oh,
that
that
matchup,
one
I
is
think,
a oh my god! Yesterday's
even.
game. Oh
Oh,
my
unbelievable,
goodness, John
unreal,
Morant is not
unreal.
human. Let's put it out there right now.
No, I'm kind of scared
I'm
though. Yeah,
certifying this right now. He is not a human. Um, his hops, I don't know. Like check his legs. I think he got springs in his shoes. Like
yeah, man,
something.
he's got something, man.
I don't know.
He's
I don't
unreal.
know. I feel bad for Malik Beasley. I really do.
You
I
make
would have
business
moved.
decisions, and I think
No.
that's
I would have moved out the way. I would have moved out the way. I don't
you
care
kind of
about
you
no.
have to know.
I don't care about the charge. No. Like no. Sorry.
Don't get dunked
No
on.
one is gonna. No one's gonna call that charge. No one is gonna call that
No,
charge.
no, no.
Everyone's
He's
gonna
too
make that
high.
highlight play
You're on that
happen.
forever.
The
You're on
refs are
that
gonna
forever.
look at it. You should have never stayed there. I don't know what you thought about.
Got
You
you to
know.
watch now, baby. Hey,
Put a put a
it
put a put a
happens. It
stone
happens.
put a stone on the floor. Put a stone. R.I.P.
Yeah, but that series
And then he
that
hits
series
a
is
game
unreal.
winner.
Yeah,
Jesus
that
Christ!
was.
Like, come
And to be
on.
honest, that play, watching the game, that play ignited them. Like they were missing shots on shots. They were struggling. Memphis was struggling from the field. That dunk happened and it changed the energy of the entire game. They
Oh,
were losing by 10 at that point.
yeah, and it's crazy how one play can change the momentum of the entire
Oh,
game. And normally is that one dunk, an
hmm
N1 play, a
hmm
crazy dagger on that shot clock going down. You know what I mean?
yeah,
You hit a
it's one
three,
of
and
those
all of a
plays.
sudden, oh, we're in the game. And
We're
when
here.
that
We're
dunk
right
happened,
there.
oh my goodness.
Yeah, unreal, man.
I know
Unreal
Beasley
play.
is having nightmares today,
He's seen
yesterday,
double.
tomorrow, maybe.
He's seen double.
It's
He's
like
seen
it's gonna be
double.
on sport. You know how TSN has like the Victor and the Challenger,
Top 10.
The
Yeah.
Rams
Yeah.
challenge,
Yeah.
The Dodge
Yeah.
challenge. Oh my goodness!
It's gonna be
If that's on there, it's gonna be
yeah,
on there for
it's a
a
wrap.
long time.
It's a wrap. It's a wrap.
Beasley,
He's gotta
I'm
do it again.
sorry. But I agree. I agree. That series is really exciting, and you know what? Actually, I find adds to that whole thing is that Cat's dad and Morant's dad are just going at it, trash talking on the sidelines.
Yeah, it's respectful
So
though.
much animosity. Like,
John's
not yeah, of
yeah.
course, yeah. There's no disrespect. Like, obviously,
Yeah,
they
yeah, yeah.
both understand they're fans. They love their kids, and they're there to support the team. Like, but it's like it takes us back to those AAU days where like there would be just like parents talking like a lot of trash on the sideline and like
Oh,
talking to the
AAU.
refs. It's kind of like that, that
Yeah, that
similar
old school.
mentality. It's like
The
which
AAU
is
kind of
really
vibe.
sick.
Yeah,
But
AAU kind of vibes for sure. But yeah, man, hey, that series is great. And the playoffs are amazing. Yeah, man. What
okay,
else you got on docket? Yeah.
let's go from the playoffs to the one of the most important awards obviously this year, which is the MVP conversation. And
Oh.
we have three amazing players on the list. Obviously, Jokic, who was the winner last year and now is in the finalists list alongside with Antetokounmpo and Embiid. Who
So
is your MVP?
I think you got to give it to the Joker again. I think you got to give it to him. I don't think Embiid has qual. I think Embiid's done a really good job. I just think the MVP right now is very underwhelming. Very underwhelming. These like because you have guys that are going out and injured. Like CP3 was playing really well at the start of the year. He was in the conversation, and then now he's gone. Right, he got injured. He's gone. So if you, it's really about sustaining level of excellence for the entire year. I know a lot of people are saying Embiid should be the guy, but Jokic has done it without Jamal Murray, without Michael Porter Jr., without these guys. I mean, he's still putting up numbers, still pretty much close to averaging the triple double.
And they're
Gotta
winning
give it to Nikola
games.
again,
They're
and they're
winning
winning. Yeah,
games.
yeah. You got Marcus, Morris, of course. What's his Marquis? Oh my God,
Monte Morris.
Monte Morris. I gave all these Morris's guys, right? Guy from Iowa State. So you all these guys. Will Barton, Bones Highland out of VCU. Bones Highland is playing really well. I love his game, but Jokic, man, without him in the center facilitating, he pretty much plays a guard's role and he plays a big man, and he can't be stopped offensively. Draymond's doing a really good job on him right now, but I think you got to give it to Jokic again, and that's the reason why you really have to assess this MVP, right? Because like there are if LeBron made the playoffs and actually continued, you could have put him in the conversation at 37. So it's just one of those awards where it's up and down. I'm going to give it to Jokic. What do you think?
I was on a verge of Embiid and Joker. I feel like both have played shorthanded, if you know what I mean. Because like
Yeah.
obviously Ben Simmons wasn't there, and
Mm-hmm.
when don't get me wrong, Seth Curry is amazing. He's an amazing shooter,
Sure.
one of the best shooters in the league. There's no doubts in that. Then obviously Harris, another amazing player, but at the end of the day, there were games that MB just made everyone look tiny.
You're right.
Like
Yeah, he made it.
he
You're
just
right.
dominated. You know what I mean? He dominated this year. It wasn't about him like stretching the floor, trying to force the shots and everything. He just went inside and played like we would say like old school Hakeem Olajuwon. Just go in
Yeah.
there. Obviously, maybe not as great moving
Mm-hmm.
with the feet and everything, but still up there right now. And I think he just dominated. And I agree that Joker obviously played shorthanded, not having Jamal Murray still recovering from that ACL injury. Then obviously Michael Porter Jr. with his back like issues, who has had them for a very long time, and having pretty much playing with the role players. Monte Morris being your point guard, and then obviously Will Barton even was injured for some time in the season for at least like 2 months. He was sitting out.
Mhm.
Like players were in and out of that lineup with the Denver Nuggets, and it's going to be hard to say not to give it to Joker just because of that factor, because he's remained consistent. He played the majority of the games all year long, and I feel like we got to give credit to Embiid as well because he hasn't missed a lot of action, and the fact that he dominated and he led Philly to a position where they were in all year long without having obviously Ben Simmons the whole season and dealing with that drama, then obviously receiving James Harden and still putting up great numbers, and winning those games and now being in the playoffs, hopefully, I don't know what's going to
Mhm.
happen, but Doc Rivers, like I said earlier, has a history of not closing games, and it's going to be subject, I guess, for next week when we actually find
Yeah.
out who
The
makes
second round.
the East between
Mhm.
those two. But it's really hard to knock off Joel Embiid because he's been consistent like that years now, like 2-3 years. He's been putting up numbers and he's been fighting for that spot and being in that conversation. I feel like he's been disrespected a little bit in that regard, just because maybe that team didn't have a better record. Maybe that team didn't have something. But at the end of the day, you got to give the credit where it's due. And I think Embiid rightfully deserved the MVP this year. And that's why I'm going with Embiid.
Yeah. Has Embiid ever gotten a MIP? I don't think he's ever gotten it. Has
He
he?
hasn't. No, he
Oh,
has
he has.
not.
Okay.
And
That.
and it's and looking at him how he started his career, missing pretty much
Yeah,
the
he's never
action in
gotten it.
three first seasons, right?
Yeah.
Like with the back issues, like ankles, like and everything. Like he's missed a lot of action. He's missed a lot of experience that he could have had, compared to some other players in that same conversation right now with Giannis Antetokounmpo coming in and developing year in and year out and going up, right? Winning that championship last year, obviously winning the MVP, being the defensive player of the year at this point, and still being in that same position, contending for that, perhaps repeating this year. And Joel Embiid has been nothing but an uphill stride this whole time after he came into his fourth season and started dominating and just coming close, losing to your Raptors on that crazy
Sure.
historic buzzer beater by Kawhi Leonard. And I
Mhm.
think no, I think he's just worthy of that MVP at least this year because he's been in that conversation for a while.
You know what? I think the NBA might end up giving it to him because he does. He deserves it. He deserves it for sure. They're in the fourth, and he's done a really good job all year. I think he dominated for a majority of that time. But think about it, man. That guy couldn't make a jump shot in Kansas at all. He couldn't
Oh,
make a jump
dude,
shot.
his
He
game was
couldn't.
catching lobs, getting offensive rebounds, and
He
play defense.
Yeah, he was McCormick, but worse than McCormick. Like you got to think about that. And to become what he's become is incredible. And I think
Incredible.
he's had the
I agree.
most improvement I've seen
He
ever from NBA
he is
players.
so mobile for a big man, and if you look
Oh
at him,
yeah,
he's a giant. It's not like
yeah,
we're
he's huge.
seeing a. It's not like we're seeing a 7-footer who is like Giannis, shredded. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Has speed to him, has long strides. No, Joel Embiid is much slower,
Hmm.
far less athletic
Much
than Giannis. You know what I
I
mean?
just
But
a
yet
lot bigger
a
mass.
lot bigger, exactly. A
Yeah,
lot bigger,
yeah.
but yet still has that mobility, still has the footwork around the rim, can knock down the perimeter shots, can post you up and do turnaround jump shots. Like he's a solid player around the perimeter, outside the key, inside the key, can knock down open threes. He can do it all. And that's, that's, you know, I don't even know what to say. I don't want to say amazing again
Yeah.
because I've said it way too many times at
So
this
many
point.
times. Yeah. We'll see. We'll see who gets it for sure. I think one
Absolutely.
of
Hey,
those
we
guys
got
will
time.
be
We got
worthy,
time. I
but
feel
we got
normally
time.
normally they give out MVP in the second round, so we'll find out probably around sometime next week, a week after.
Next week, the week after.
But
Yeah, yeah, we'll see that. Yeah, man.
one last thing, not
Hmm.
related to the NBA, related to your
Right.
favorite sport, and that is football.
I don't even know if that's my favorite
Jackson
sport, man. I've always known
Jacksonville is
football and
on the
basketball.
clock.
Some of my favorite
Jacksonville
sport.
is
I don't
on
know
the
what was.
clock. No, I
Yeah,
don't.
I
I
think.
don't know. So I just had to toss it out there. But Jacksonville is on the clock. The latest is that Trayvon Walker is obviously going number one as a defensive tackle coming out of Georgia, winning that national title, being the key factor of that defense that shut down Bama
Bryce Young. Yep,
completely.
yep. Well, you got to think about it. There's, Jameson Williams wasn't playing because he had an ACL injury in the game, and he's probably the best receiver coming in this draft, and he got an ACL tear in that game. So
No,
there's
I'm
so many
joking.
different
I'm
factors.
joking.
But
Absolutely, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Trayvon Walker is unreal. I think a guy like Aiden Hutchinson's obviously very good as well too. I just don't know if you, as Jacksonville, you have to take one of these guys. You got a quarterback last year. You need
Oh,
a
you
defensive
have
end.
to, yeah, you have to.
And to be honest, you could even benefit from taking Evan Neal from Alabama, who's, in my opinion, the best offensive lineman to come out in the last like 5 to 6 years. He's unbelievable. He's like 6'7", 360. He can move. He moves like he's a tight end. So
Projected
that
right
guy's
now
an
to go to
athlete,
Carolina at 6, which is kind of a
which
drop.
is nuts. Which
It's a
some of
drop.
them,
That could be a steal.
a lot of boards have him number two. Sauce Gardner out of Cincinnati is going to be another guy you look at. But when it comes down to the skill positions, a guy that was shutting down Jamar Chase in practice, a guy that was shutting down uh, Justin Jefferson in practice, Derek Stingley Jr. out of LSU. He's another guy you got to
The
look at, bro.
cornerback,
He's going to be
yeah,
great.
and
The cornerback. He's going
he's
to be nice.
projected as 4 going to the Jets right now, and that
Exactly.
could be game changing for them.
Listen,
That
that
could be
guy was one of the
huge.
best receivers in high school. He was like a top 3 receiver in the country, and he decided to become a cornerback. So has his ball skills are out of this world. He's unreal. My Ohio State Buckeyes, Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, going to be both receivers that you can take really high, and they're going to be really good. Jameson Williams is still, once again, torn ACL in the championship game, but he's still a top 20 pick too. So you got to look for Jameson Williams, man. There's so many great players in this, but Malik Beasley, Malik Beasley, yes.
Are
Malik
we
Beasley
talking
out of,
NBA?
no, I think, no, we're talking, sorry. We're
I
talking,
got confused for a second. Wait, I thought we moved on.
not,
I thought we moved on from that subject, but
oh, no. We got the quarterback from Liberty. His name is,
Malik
it's skipping me
Willis.
right. Malik Willis, my goodness. Malik Willis out of Liberty.
I'm like
Kenny Pickett
Bisley.
Jr. are
Who
going to
is?
be the two quarterbacks.
Oh, dude,
I
Kenny.
was thinking, hey, listen, I was thinking about John Morant, right?
Let's go back to Kenny Pickett actually for a second. The
Yeah.
dude really changed the game. Think about that.
He wears 2 gloves.
Dude,
Yes.
he changed the game. He faked the slide and they changed the rule the next day.
Yes, I do remember that.
That
Yes,
is
I know.
sick. That is
That
sick.
is
That
unreal.
fake
Yes.
slide was, dude. I was watching that fake slide, and then they changed the rule, and he immediately tweeted that he's like, "I changed the game."
I changed the game
I
forever.
was crying.
Stamped.
That made my day.
Certified.
That
Certified.
right then and there. That
No,
was funny.
certified. There's rules that are made, and there's rules always are made to be broken too. That was a sick fake slide because you got to respect it. If you hit the guy quarterback, that's like 20-yard penalty. So that's he used it to his advantage. So shout out to Kenny Pickett. But the one thing I don't really trust is quarterbacks that wear 2 gloves. And he wears 2 gloves, and I don't know if I really trust that. So that's one thing. I would not spend a very high draft pick on a guy that wears 2 gloves. And he's not. None of these quarterbacks are going to be starting in the next few years. But quarterback out of Cincinnati, my favorite quarterback in this draft, Spencer Ritter. He was in the game, the semifinal game. They made it to the college football playoff. We talked about it, I think, too. He's a quarterback
Yeah.
for the Cincinnati Bearcats. He's a 5th-year starter. He could have left in 4th year. It would have been a high draft pick, but he chose to come back, and they did even better. So he's a guy you got to look at, and that's a guy I would see actually starting in games in the next few years. So anyways, man, it's going to be a great draft for sure.
I mean, Kenny Pickett is in a good conversation because he could be in that conversation as well, just based on the fact that he's projected to go to Detroit. We don't know how Jared Goff is going to be playing next year, and I don't know if they will be equipped enough for him to make something out of that offense. Right? They need receivers. Their defense is young, obviously, and obviously he has Hawkinson in the tight end who he can find down the field. But I think the biggest factor for them is finding receivers, and that would be probably something in free agency. And looking at the best option right now in that position is Deebo Samuel, but he is projected to go to Jets. Rumor
Jets
goes,
or Green Bay or somewhere else. He doesn't want to be back to San Fran.
The latest rumor I saw today is that Darren Waller might be shipped
Green Bay.
from
Yes, the
Vegas
Green
to
Bay's
Green Bay, and that would
actively.
be insane.
That would be
Do
great for
you
the
like, actually?
Aaron
Let me
Rodgers.
ask you this. Let me ask you this. Since you know you're like I've said it before. You got much more knowledge about football. Wouldn't it make sense for them to actually hold on to Darren Waller, or do you think it's a money situation? Because right now they have Devontae Adams and having Darren Waller. Wouldn't that just be more dangerous for
It
teams
would
to
be.
face? It's like
Listen,
having
la-
Travis Kelsey and Tariq Hill on the same lineup because it was
exactly,
deadly.
exactly, exactly. Exactly. No, you're totally right. And plus, you're forgetting they have Hunter Renfro too, who's a very shifty,
Underrated.
great
So
route runner.
underrated. So
They they
underrated.
have they have weapons on all fronts,
But
right? So
he's a free
no,
agent.
them. Yes, he's a free agent, but I can see him signing back, and I just think they'd have the money to actually sign him back as well too. But if once again, if all things go great, you just can't have an offense where you have strictly, Jacobs in the backfield and Devontae Adams, because all they're going to do is bracket Jet and Devontae Adams, put two or three guys to that side. Everything
and
else, some things
and
will be
force them to
open.
run the
They
ball.
gotta
Yeah, exactly. And the
force them
run
to run the ball.
defense
So
normally for a majority of the teams is not bad. Teams get burned downfield when they have to face guys like Hopkins, guys like McLaurin, and now obviously Jamar Chase and Waddle and all these young cats coming in on Tariq Hill, who is now with the
my
Dolphins. You
offense,
know
yep,
what I mean?
yep,
Like, and Cooper
yeah,
Cup, like you need to have a versatile offense. Run game. Obviously, you need to have a strong run game, but if you don't have a few options on your offense, in receiving,
you're
your
screwed.
offense is going to be stale. Yeah, it's going to be static.
Yeah, and then you saw that with the LA Rams, man. LA Rams and Van Jefferson. They had Cooper Cup. They had Odell Beckham Jr. They had, you
Everybody.
know,
Robert Woods before
everyone.
he
They had
got hurt.
Robert Woods, and of course Robert Woods is going to be signing somewhere else, right? Because they don't have the money for him. But yeah, like they need to have it because what happened without a dominant receiver with the Raiders last year? They bracketed Darren Waller, and that's the reason why I had him on fantasy in like two leagues. He didn't do anything last year. He was
He had a
injured for
few
some of
good
them, but he
games, but
got
that's
shut
about it.
down.
Yeah.
That's it, right? That's why you have a guy, and once again, it comes down to the quarterback as well too. And I don't think Derek Carr's great. He's not a Patrick Mahomes. Patrick
But
Mahomes
I
is
don't
gonna
think he
get.
is bad either. Yeah.
I don't think he's terrible, but I don't think he's. I'm kind of surprised that, and I know Devontae Adams wants to get his money and go to do his own thing, but I wouldn't choose Derek Carr to be my quarterback if I was Devontae Adams. I'm going to a guy that's proven himself that can make it to the big game. I don't think Derek Carr has the it factor. Like Patrick Mahomes has the it factor. Tom Brady has the it factor. I can't even say Aaron Rodgers has the it factor, but he's a great talent, right? So I wouldn't leave that. I would still kind of like let it go, but
He has a
hey, it
kryptonite.
is what it is.
He has a
It's
kryptonite. It's called the
listen,
49ers.
before and bro, I defended Aaron Rodgers to
Oh.
the T. I can't defend him anymore. I can't defend him. You had a better team than the 49ers, and you still lost. And you're at home. I can't defend you. Like that falls
In the
on me. And then
conditions
of
that
course
you're used to playing,
right.
cold
He
weather. It is
yes. And as a quarter
green.
yeah,
Come
Green
on.
Bay. Listen, as a
Hey,
quarterback too, like I know like hey, when you get tunnel vision for a receiver, that's when the game's over. Like he had tunnel vision just for him. He never threw to anyone else, and that was the game. And you can't really bounce back. And I'm never gonna be like, hey, this guy's the goat. This guy's like has if Aaron Rodgers does not have it. And until he proves it in the postseason, he doesn't have it. But that's it, man. It's gonna be a great. I love the NFL. It's gonna be a great draft, and a lot of dreams are gonna be, made, and a lot of teams are gonna get better. But not the best draft talent out there for sure. Not the best year. Next year
hey.
will be really good though.
Yeah. This is definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. There's always ups and downs. Same thing with the NBA. We've seen it in the past. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure, for
Like
sure,
it
for sure.
goes from an
Yeah.
amazing draft, and then all of a sudden you have a NBA 2013 draft with Anthony Bennett going number one.
Yeah.
Like, you know
Just
what I
from
mean? Like,
right around the corner.
just
Right from
just
right around the
just
corner
like
from me. I'm
that,
not gonna
right?
slander him.
You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
so
You never know. You
like
never know. But hey,
you
it is
never
what it
know.
is.
Yeah, it is what it is. But either way, that will mark the end of this special segment. We'll definitely come up with the name. But thank you for those who tuned in to
Yes,
watch
sir.
us chat about the NBA playoffs awards and obviously the tomorrow's NFL draft that will continue on from the 28th until the 30th of April, obviously featuring for all 6 rounds. I don't know, whoever your provider is, they'll
Mm-hmm.
probably stream it on either TSN or Sportsnet, at least the first 2 rounds, because normally that's what happens. But I'm pretty sure you'll be able to keep yourself updated on all of the media platforms, whether it's Bleacher Report, whether it's Sportsnet, whether it's ESPN. All the draft picks and options will be available. Just make sure you tune in, I guess, if you love watching football. But for me, Ilya Kurbanov, and my dear friend Brent Graham, this is
Hey,
it for
checking
the
out, man.
night. Make sure to check
Yeah,
out our podcast, 94 by 50 podcast, on
yeah. First and
YouTube,
10.
Instagram, and Facebook, and obviously First and 10 for Brand Graham, YouTube,
Yeah,
Instagram.
yeah,
You can
yeah.
follow him on
Smart.
BG_10, right?
Graham underscore JB on Twitter and G
Ah,
underscore JB on Instagram. But it is what it is, man. I'll put it out
you
there.
you
We'll get
yeah
it.
you got it yourself. You got it yourself. I don't remember all of the platform
Hey,
name tags and
peace.
everything. It's gonna be one
Peace.
too many.
I say right here, peace and positivity. Make sure you spread it. So that's it for
Hey,
you, man.
no, it's peace, love, and positivity. Make sure to spread it.
Peace,
But
love,
you
and
got it right.
positivity.
You got it right. But
Yeah.
other than that, make sure to
All right,
keep
man.
it simple, and like Brandon said, peace, love, and positivity. Make sure to spread it. Have a good night.